26.1 is in the books. Dave Castro already has a clue out for 26.2. Let's see what it is.
Love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out, maybe it's the chemistry. It's time to break up so I can make a better me.
It's lunchtime. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Lunch with the Clydesdale. We are live on a Tuesday afternoon. Good to be with you all. 26.1 is done and dusted, and everybody is in the leaderboard. It's going to be in the leaderboard. We are there. It is final. We know what it looks like. So it is exciting. I do have to say, like yesterday, man, I felt old. So yesterday I did the workout prior to coming on the air, about 10 a.m. And I did the workout. I explained it all to you guys that I did the 20. I did the 20 wall balls, and then I did a scaled 12-inch box to just complete the workout. After the show yesterday, I went to upload my video and my score onto the game site, and no video. No video. It was gone. So I quickly decided just to put my phone up, do some wall balls, and at least get a score in. And so I did that, tried to upload that video. That video kept getting rejected because it was too short and it wasn't a full YouTube video because I just did 3 wall balls to get a score and to move on because I was sore. I tried to do more. I was warming up and I was so tight. And my lats and especially my lats were really hurting because I've realized I've been scaling out of overhead movements way too much, way too much. And then, so anyway, made the video, did 3 wall balls, was just going to post the score, wouldn't let me. So I had to like go into my video editing software and like run the video a couple times in a row to make it long enough to make it a full YouTube link, then go back and upload it and then submit my score. It took me like almost the entire day to figure out how to just get a video up. So anyway, there it is. It's over. Done. Dusted. Got a score in there. Maybe I'll just go drop in at a box this weekend to do the next one because that video stuff was just ridiculous. Carolyn asked why I didn't just film for 12 minutes. I did on the first one. I just filmed me doing the scaled stuff after, and then the video didn't take. So then in the afternoon when I just went out and did a couple wall balls to submit the score again, anyway, it's a disaster. I'm not doing it again that way. We'll figure it out. We'll figure out something, but it did kind of show me that like CrossFit they do have some safeguards in the background that if your video isn't long enough, it will reject it. And there you go. So if you didn't know, now you know. Now you know. So there it is. But my back is really hurting today. Again, I've been scaling out of overhead. I realized way too much. And yesterday I did like 45 wall balls, maybe more than that. And my back, and 20-pound wall ball I haven't used in a very long time. So it's not even my legs, it's my back. My legs are fine. but my back is cooked today. Anyway, with that being said, no surprises. Mira von Rohr went ahead and won 26.1 on the women's side. It looks like some guys from Iceland have passed Colton last second on the men's side. We'll see what happens there. Lido, 24th in the world on this workout. Congratulations to you. And 3 days later, her legs are still not okay. A phenomenal performance, Lido. Carolyn's in the chat. Carolyn took 14th worldwide. So yeah, we got some rock stars in the chat. Pretty impressive scores. Mark Phillips says, nice work, Lido. Their video is online, Iceland boys. Yeah, I watched it. And I'm going to get into judging in a minute. I hope they have a different video. The fact that the box covers up the hip crease, the bottom of the hip crease, makes that video really hard to judge. But anyway, I don't think that it's unique to them. So there we go. Miriam did post this yesterday. I don't know if you guys saw this. This was her after 26.1 the second time. She said she completed the workout 26.1 in a time of 9:50. As several people have already pointed out, and as you can clearly see in the video, I made a small mistake. In the second to last set of box jump overs, I stepped onto the box instead of jumping and did not repeat the rep. That makes it a no rep. During the workout, I was aware that something felt off and that I had briefly fallen out of rhythm. In that moment, I had to make a quick decision and chose not to repeat the repetition. Looking back, that was probably the wrong decision. However, at high intensity and speed, this mistake happened. I want to communicate this openly and honestly because it is clearly visible in the video. I considered repeating the workout because of this mistake and looked into the rule book regarding possible penalties. However, I could not find a completely clear answer. What I respect is that she came out and said, I messed up. I did this wrong. Clearly her reps were good everywhere else in that video. Everywhere else. I heard last night on Monday Night CrossFit Talk, they were talking about, I think CJ said 2-second penalty. JY said 5-second penalty because you do have to penalize for the mistake. I think anywhere in there is fine. She's still going to win the workout. 2, 3, 5. She's still going to be under 10 minutes. So anyway, I think she is. I'm now a big fan. When you come out and say, hey, I know I made a mistake. Here it is. Tells you even where she made the mistake. I think that is awesome. Small penalty, move on. She still wins the workout. She completely dominated this workout over everybody, male and female, and she should be lauded for that, not condemned. It was at the speed she was going, it's no wonder her mind tricked up in that one little moment and she stepped instead of jumped. That was not going to make a difference in her time, her placing, or anything like that. Give her the small penalty, move on. But kudos to her for coming out and owning the mistake instead of hiding from it or anything like that. Great way to go about that. So right before we went on live, Dave posted the clue for 26.2, and here it is. It looks like, I don't know. It looks like wheatish, I don't know, some kind of plant. in front of some mountains, and it kind of is blowing in the wind. So, yeah, that is the clue. I know that Dave says these are obvious, so I am sure that you all have figured it out already. Kenneth S. Did Nilly Moo claim the giveaway yet? Well, I found out that Nilly Moo is actually Natalie Lemieux. And she did claim her bag of Thirdsy. She's on a business trip, but I will get that out to her as soon as I can. And it is Natalie Lemieux. She is she's been a long time listener, and she was actually in our fantasy football league last year. So congratulations to Natalie Lemieux for winning the bag of salted caramel chocolate Thirdsy. Seema says that the clue is the answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. Yeah, I think the workout is blowing in the wind, and none of us will figure this out before Thursday. The clouds are doing muscle ups. I don't know what you're having for lunch, Craig, but okay. There we go. So that came out. The other thing that came out in the last 24 hours was the new documentary. I watched it. I watched some of it very early this morning before my pulmonology appointment, and I watched the rest of it after. I'm going to preface everything I say with I am a very hard critic on these documentaries. It has been a while since I have thoroughly enjoyed the documentary, and I was trying to analyze why today. And it used to be back in the day that the documentary would come out, and then like immediately following it would be the behind the scenes. And I think what that gave us is you got the event in the documentary. And also back then I didn't go to the games. I was at home watching the stream. And so you would watch like the breakdown of the games, and then you would get the behind the scenes of everything that happened after that added this color and texture to it. And I think in my head, I just let it all be one thing working together. And now we have so many media people, and I am included in this, that send out content between the end of the games and put out more content between the end of the games and when the documentary is released. So it's really hard for the documentary crew to show us new stuff. Like oftentimes I'm sitting there going, oh, I'm not seeing anything I didn't see already. And so I just want to preface my critique with that. That being said, I thought this was better than most. I thought this was better than the last few. It still was a little bit redundant for me at times. And I felt like it was trying to be two different things. I felt like it was trying to be a Tia Claire Toomey documentary about possibly, maybe her last year at the games, maybe, possibly. Then it also tried to be this game's recap of what happened. And so I think at times it lost itself in one or the other, but wasn't. Things were missed. Things I wanted to see were missed. I think Olivia Kerstetter coming all the way back to be a podium finisher was just barely touched on, and it could have been a bigger story in what happened at the games. I think from a Tia documentary point of view, I learned a lot about Tia and the way things happened behind the scenes with her. There were more behind the scenes footage in this documentary than some of the others, where it was just like the guys talking or the ladies talking. There was a lot of interaction between Lucy Campbell and Tia, especially in the moments where they traded the leader jersey back and forth, which I thought was really good. But there just became a point where, and Danielle Brandon's in it too. So really it focuses on 4 of each. It focuses on Tia, Lucy, Danielle Brandon, and Olivia. Danielle and Olivia are kind of an afterthought, the way I viewed it. There was a couple good pieces, but for the most part, an afterthought. On the men's side, it was Ricky, James, Dallin, Jason, and a little bit of Jay Crouch. And then again, I think at times they just focused on Jason so much, and he did win the games. I get that. So anyway, it is what it is. I think there were some good parts that I hadn't seen before. And I don't want to spoil anything at this moment because it just came out today. There was a lot of redundancy that have been done in past documentaries where they are explaining the workout. A lot of Chase and Adrian, not Bosman, Adrian Conway, talking about the methodology, talking about why the test is the way it is, talking about all that stuff. If you've watched a bunch of documentaries, it's a lot of the same jargon in there. So yeah, there was no Colton in the documentary. Zero Colton. And that's typical for these documentaries. They focus on the top couple athletes, and that's what you get. There's no Carolyn Prevost in these documentaries. There was a lot of people missing that I think added some color and texture to the story. I guess there was a tiny bit of Austin Hatfield too. It feels like the resources they have are pre-assigned, and the ability to be reactive to unexpected stories isn't possible. Yeah, I think you're right. But I saw CJ say Olivia Kerstetter, that comeback couldn't have been predicted, but she's in the documentary. They talked to her throughout the weekend. So like they predetermined her before it even started. How it didn't get covered more. That's what I think what I was taken aback of. Vicky says, I bought it, but now I'm on strike. Don't be on strike. It's worth a watch. There are some pieces and some interactions with Dave by the athletes that I've never seen before. Like when the pegboard thing happened and the slippery pegboard, there are athletes that are livid, and they make it abundantly clear to Dave what their thoughts are, and that is captured in this documentary. There's a part where one athlete knows he's being recorded in earshot of another athlete, and he uses that to try to intimidate the other athlete. Like there are some really, really cool moments really cool moments that I have not seen in other documentaries. But at the granular level, it's the same kind of thing. So, yeah, the pegboard thing is a big piece to this. So yeah. What would somebody who doesn't know anything about CrossFit think? Gosh, I don't. That's a great question. I don't think it is an elementary version of the games either. I think they come in assuming that you know something about the sport already. Because there isn't a lot of introduction to many of the characters in the documentary, other than they show Jason in his football uniform kind of growing up. They don't really talk about how Tia became Tia. They don't really, so there's no like intro to what we are. And I would even say like the Chase and Adrian stuff is more games related than methodology related. Like in the old documentaries, we had like a 101 of what the methodology is while they're explaining what happened at the games. None of that is in this. And again, if you missed the beginning of it, Savon, it's more that I think it tried to be a couple different things and it didn't go down any of the paths fully. It could have been a great Tia documentary. Could have been a great Tia documentary. Could have been a great-ish games recap thing. But again, to me, it's not a complete picture without a behind the scenes. And so now that the behind the scenes is done kind of separate, back in the day, it was you watch the documentary, then you watch the behind the scenes to get the color and the texture and all of that behind what happened. And now that the timing's off of that to me. And I think that's what I miss the most. And because there are so many people putting out content from the games, it's really hard for the documentary crew to surprise us with anything new. It's really, really hard. You have athletes putting out content. You have media putting out content. We are now, 6 months after the games, 7 months after the games, and we're just getting this now. So a lot has already been said about the games. So there just wasn't a lot new. Now, there were like a handful of things that I really, really enjoyed. I enjoyed the pegboard stuff. I enjoyed some of the strategies behind the scenes. I enjoyed athletes getting mad and not wanting to talk to people. There were some discussions behind the scenes that were really good. But there were a lot of pieces that were very much just like it's always been done. That's all. I'm not saying you won't enjoy it. And again, I'm a very hard critic. I consume so much content throughout the year that it's really hard to surprise me with stuff. And if I've already seen it, it's just like watching a rerun. But there were a couple moments where I perked up and was like, ooh, ooh, ooh. So there's that. Take it for what you will. It's out there. It's like $4 to rent, $12 to buy. I've purchased every single one of these. Like, I have them all in my queue. To me, I would put it at, and I am a very hard critic on this, I would put it at a B-. A B-. So take it for what you will. That's where I have it. Go check it out if you want to. The next thing I wanted to talk about is, I've had a lot of DMs over the last 24 hours about people going and looking at videos on the leaderboard and seeing people not meeting standards all around them on the leaderboard. And I get it. There are a lot of bad wall balls out there, a lot of them. I think last night on the CrossFit Network show, Taylor said 20%. Jump Ship said 10%. I don't know what it is. I've seen a lot of footage of some bad wall balls. And I've heard from a lot of athletes that are upset. It's hard. It CrossFit is at a place where they're trying to make something that anybody in the first week of the open can do to get signups, to get people interested, to get people in the door. And they did that with this workout. This is a workout that anybody can come in, do some wall balls, get a score, and move on. The problem is you get something like this, and it puts judges in a really bad position. There are two places you have to look at as a judge to see if they have met hip depth, hip crease, and did they hit the target at the right spot. So it puts the judge in a bad situation at 240 whatever times. They have to look in two places for every rep. The videos are not doing anybody any favors. Last night they showed the Icelandic 4 people that were doing it together. The boxes were in front of them or in between the camera and them. You couldn't even see the bottom of the hip crease. You could only guess whether they hit or not. And some of them won. And there are way worse videos than that. What I would say is, hopefully there's a skill coming. There is a skill coming that's going to separate the really good athletes, the people that are true to their standards all the time. And it will separate the leaderboard and make it feel appropriate. I heard people on Monday night CrossFit update that, they were at a lower percentage than they normally are because it was so accessible. Carolyn says, what's the difference between that and most of the movements? Well, as a judge, you actually have to move to see both things. To see the hip crease, to see the top of the wall ball target, it's a greater distance between the two to judge. Most movements, you can see most of that peripherally with a little bit of head movement. This just takes more. And I saw Andrew Sten say, it's not that hard to judge. Andrew, you have judged on the highest levels. And for you, it's not that hard. But there's a lot of people that don't judge every day. And it's a big distance between the 2 points. There's a lot of movement. So Andrew says it's not, Scott. If you step back a little and kneel, you can see it all. But you know that. You can teach people in your gym that. But how many people don't have an experienced judge like that can give the tips and tricks for everything? You can see these videos. You can see the judges. You can see a lot of people don't use the proper technique when they judge. Carolyn says every year it's like this. By the third week, things settle to normal on the leaderboard. Shanna says, I know repped a few times. Amanda says, I've done this so long that I know going in that my score will not be reflected appropriately on the leaderboard in a workout like this. Sadly, in my point of view now, it is what it is. It has nothing to do with difficulty of judging. It's people who don't train full depth regularly, and it's friends judging and letting it go. So I wanted to, because a lot of people are complaining about this. There's nothing we're going to be able to do today about this. But we did talk about this new Xenom. And my question to you all is, because it's not based on a comparative score, like your time is better than my time, so blah, 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 right? It is based on a score of average is 1,000. If you do better than average, you can get a higher score. If you do lower than average, you get lower than 1,000. So it's not based on where you finish on a leaderboard, but where you finish on a scale that's been developed for what the typical athlete can do. And think of it in golf terms as there's a par for a hole. And if you go below, if you exceed expectations, you get a birdie and you are below par. If you don't exceed expectations, you do worse than expectations, you get a bogey. Flip that and get a better score because you do better than par, and a lesser score because you do worse than par. Do you think that that is a better example of testing the community and where you stand than the Open is currently doing? And the other thing Xenom will have with it, it will have judges there provided to judge your movements. It won't be a friend. It won't be inside your gym. It will be in a stadium where you go do these events, and you get a score based on your performance against the norm, not against the people that other people that are doing it. Lita says, I like that scoring, a bit like P-score, but it's used as a general average athlete rather than the competitive average. Yeah, my issue with P-score is it's still dependent on the people you're competing against in that moment, where this is a determined statistical analysis of what people should do in that event, and the scoring is based on that. And the more data points they get from all these events, the more dialed in that that distribution of points will get. Yeah, exactly, Scott. A general average rather than the competitive one. Yes, I think it's a great. I think their release of this new thing that they're doing up against the Open and all the complaints people are having for your percentile is based on everybody else and what they're allowed to get away with, as opposed to where you rank on this predetermined scale. And I think that the release of this at that time, they need to market that piece, because you will actually know your Xenom score, and it doesn't change. You get better and better, or worse and worse, to doing the same thing each time you go do that Xenom. So I just found that interesting and an observational fact. But yeah, I think that is definitely a solution for those mid-level athletes who just want to see where they are. Because I think it'll be a truer sense in who you are as an athlete, as opposed to where you finish on a leaderboard, where everything is kind of everything is open to interpretation from every individual judge around the world. Claire says 500 to compete as an individual per barbell spin, a lot more than the Open. It is, but there are people that care so much about where their fitness level is. I think people will be willing to pay for it. The other thing, I think it's 2 days, 10 events. That's a lot of activity. That's more than the Open that you get for that $500. You also get based on this new scoring system, and there's only 2,000 spots available at each location. So the supply and demand is going to be much different than the Open. So, Lito says 500 is really pricey for a 2-day comp. Is it? I've paid more. I've paid over $100 for a 1-day comp. Close to $200 for a 1-day comp locally. And that was 6 years ago. And I don't think it's just for every Tom, Dick, and Harry. I think Xenom is going to be for those people who want to see where they rank. And in a controlled environment where everything you have judging, you have rogue equipment, you have the best of the best things laid out for you to accomplish your task. Hexy Lover, are judges going to judge college and paid a salary? Where do I apply? I don't know. I don't know how they're getting judges. I'm sure that's something they're working out. Workouts have to stay the same every year if this works. It's closer to being an Olympic sport than CrossFit or IF3. I agree. Monster Games was less than 300 this year. Yeah, but Monster Games is a couple-day competition, $300, and people are paying that, and they're selling it out usually every year in a ton of different divisions. What is $200 more to do it in a big stadium with the nicest equipment? I don't know. I've seen people pay more for crazier stuff. I agree with Claire. I can't wait to see this thing in real life. Everything sounds good on paper. It's going to be interesting to see the execution. WFP sounded good on paper. The execution fell short. That's what we need to see. Anybody can come up with a plan. It's what do you do once it's in reality, and does it make sense at that point? Just remember, guys, we have a sponsor to the show. It is Thursday. They are awesome to us. It is an essential supplement for the Open. It helps you get your sleep. It helps you get your recovery. It does all the things you need to make sure you have the best Open possible. You can go to Thursday.com/Jazzy, get 25% off your order through the Open. Or you can go to just their website, use Jazzy at checkout, get 25% off your order there, 25% off through the Open. Trish says Xenom is a corny as hell name. I said this on Sunday night with Carolyn, I think. Everything sounds corny when it's first given to you. If it turns out to be a really cool event, nobody's going to care what it was called. If you look at CrossFit, they took it on the chin that it was a weird name back then. So if they do a good job and it becomes a cool event, the name will be irrelevant. CJ has figured out the clue from Dave. He posted it in the comments if you want to go see. Trish says, I can't see Lido without thinking of the Boz Skaggs song. I'm with you. When she first was in the chat, that song would run in my head every time I saw her. Lido says, I'm curious if they'll sell it out, though, considering there are lots of other cheaper comps out there for community athletes. The elites already have a lot on their plates. I would lay dollars to donuts. They sell out. Alito says they just released events for 2 and 3. Let me see if I can pull that up. Thank you for the update. Didn't have this on my... So event 2 is wall walk, rope climb, and wall walk, rope climb couplet. 2 wall walks, 1 rope climb. 4 wall walks, 2 rope climbs. 6 wall walks, 3 rope climbs. That is the elite division. That looks like it's it. It doesn't have a time. Looks like just for time. And event 3 is 60-second max calorie on an echo bike. So we now have 5 of the 10 events announced by Xenom. It really looks like day 1 is primarily like a monostructural type thing. And then day 2 looks like it is going to be more your couplets. Couplets, triplets, metcons, things like that. So I didn't see CJ's comment, but Corey said if CJ's right, there's going to be a lot of happy folks out there, and I'm 3 of them. Okay. Corey is, let me refresh, see what CJ says. Okay. I'll pull it up, guys. Everybody's asking. So here's CJ's comment. So here it is. You're looking at a wild oak grass seed heads. In the foreground, the long dangling awns and narrow spikelets are classic California wild oats blowing in the wind, which obviously equate to the classics, swinging on the rings and swinging on a rope. Burpees over barley. Sowing wild oats is creative programming. Sky is the limit. Wow. A lot of people with their guesses. I think the guesses are more fun than the clue. So when I'm short on time or just want some skill work, I'll do a 20 to 30 minute EMOM of dubs and ring muscle ups. Yeah. There it is. Okay, guys, I'm going to head out. Just to let you know, I had my pulmonary follow-up after my BOP. biopsy today. And regretfully, I have no answer still. They ruled out sarcoidosis. They ruled out cancer. So those are two good things, I guess. And holy cow. Well, put that on hold. Spin just reported that Dawn Fall is out. I think people were predicting this was coming. Not sure they thought it would happen today. It's weird that they would do that during the open. But it is what it is, right? So, let's see if I can pull that up. He does not have it on his Instagram yet. So it must be on Twitter, maybe. It is reported. Here it is. Dawn Fall steps down as CEO of CrossFit. Dawn Fall stepped down as CEO of CrossFit. Fall became CEO on August 2nd, 2022, right before the 22 games. Fall's last day will be March 6th, 2026. So he will be here till the end of the week. CrossFit's board of directors has already begun the process of finding a new CEO and will work with an executive search firm to find Fall's replacement. I really, really, really hate executive search firms. Hate that. Only you know what you want in a CEO, not some outside search firm. So anyway, there it is. Dawn Fall has stepped down. Time the doc release with his leaving. Gosh, I know it's terrible. You're in the middle of the open. You have a new documentary coming out, and that's when you decide to make the change. So, all right, real quick, back to the pulmonary stuff. I didn't get any answers today. I only got like eliminated questions, and that was they ruled out cancer, they ruled out sarcoidosis. So now it's moving on to other steps. I did a broad blood panel today. So now I have to wait on those results. They're looking for some specific autoimmune possibilities. But overall, my symptoms have gotten better because of the medicine I'm on and the sinus surgery I've had. So at this point, we have some time to figure it out. But that's where I am. I thought for sure it was going to be sarcoidosis. Turned out it is not that. It has been ruled out now. And so the biopsy just really eliminated a couple things but didn't give any answers. So we just move forward. I gave some blood this morning, 5 vials of blood, and they're going to test it for some autoimmune stuff. And we'll see what that brings back in the next couple weeks. So that is where I am with the pulmonary stuff. Hopefully we can get through that over the next few days. And other than that, that's my news. Thank you everybody for your concern. Crossfat had just connected with Dawn Fall on LinkedIn. So Dawn Fall knows who Crossfat is. And now he stepped down, and the world will never know. All right. With that, guys, tons of breaking news. We had a Dave Castro hint. We had a new documentary, and Dawn Fall stepped down. All while on the air today. How about that, guys? Doesn't get any better than this. With that, I will let you guys get back to your... Oh, he stepped down because he figured out who Crossfat was. Corey says the plot twist is he is Crossfat on LinkedIn. All right, guys, with that, I have so many thoughts right now. I need to sort them out. You guys have a great rest of your day. We'll be back tomorrow for lunch with the Clydesdale, tomorrow, Wednesday. And we will hopefully we'll have the cowboy with us tomorrow. With that, we'll see everybody tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye, all.